Well, hey, welcome to another edition of Theology Matters Thursday, where we look at frequently asked biblical and theological questions. The question for today comes right out of the headlines again. Do I really need to go to church? You see, there was a recent study that came out that showed the highest percentage of Americans ever have no official religious affiliation, that nearly 1 in 5 Americans claim no official religion. Now, what's interesting about the study is it's not that these people are claiming that they don't believe in God, but just that they don't want to be a part of organized religion, quote unquote. And so it's not like there's this huge wave of new atheists. It's just that people are increasingly feeling like they can be spiritual apart from a church. And there's a lot of people that I hear this pretty frequently, even from many Christians, who say, you know what, I connect with God in the mountains or on my own. I don't really need to be a part of going to a church on Sunday. And so the question is that really true? Can you really connect with God? And do we really need to be a part of a local church if you're a Christian? Well, first let me say this, that yes, you can absolutely be a Christian. You can be saved, forgiven of your sin, put your faith in Jesus, be on your way to heaven, totally apart from attending a church service. That's between you and putting your faith in Jesus Christ alone for the forgiveness of your sin. So the church doesn't hold the keys to you going to heaven or not. But the question is, why would you not want to go to church? And there's a few reasons why the church is incredibly important and valuable, why every Christian should want to be a part of the church. Here's just a few of them. The first and maybe most obvious is Jesus established the church. The church is Jesus's. It's what he created to work in this world. And so if you want to follow Jesus, of course you should be a part of his church. In Matthew 16, you can read this verse a little bit on your own, but Jesus said, "Upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not prevail against it." So Jesus is saying, I'm going to build my church. It is his church, and so he is building it. He established it, so it's obviously very important. And just an interesting note here, just a couple chapters later in Matthew 18, you see Jesus assuming that people are going to be a part of this church. Again, I encourage you to pause and read this passage. But again, the assumption here is that Christians, if you're going to follow Jesus, you're going to be a part of this church that Jesus established. Another important reason why you should be a part of the church is that God commands it. Look at the New Testament again in Hebrews chapter 10, 24 and 25. It says, "Let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds." Look at 25. "Let us not give up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing." You see, people were skipping church way back in the New Testament too. And God warns us against it. It says, no, don't stop meeting together. We need to spur one another on toward love and good deeds. We need to encourage and challenge one another. And so church is very important. So the Bible's pretty clear that you should be a part of the church. And obviously, as you read the New Testament, the church is absolutely integral to what God is doing. Just the assumption is if you're a Christian, you're going to be a part of the local church in the New Testament. And here are some more practical reasons why church is so important, and why, if you're a Christian, of course you should want to be a part of the local church. One, the church provides mutual encouragement. Look what the Apostle Paul said in Romans chapter 1. He said, "I long to see you," talking to the church in Rome, "so that I may impart some spiritual gifts to you and make you strong, and that you and I might be mutually encouraged by each other's faith." The Apostle Paul understood that when Christians come together, it is mutually encouraging. So you don't want to be a solo Christian. You want that encouragement from one another. The church also provides accountability. We don't always want accountability in our life, but God knows we need it. Just, again, if you take a minute and look at Matthew 18, you see that that accountability is needed. And again, in Hebrews chapter 10, again, we need to spur one another on. And then finally, just one other reason, and there's many more we could look at, but the church provides an opportunity for you to use your God-given gifts. God intended for you to be a part of a body, a unit. Again, I encourage you to pause and read this passage. And actually, the whole chapter of 1 Corinthians 12, it's so important. But it sort of ends this after describing the church as sort of a body and you are a part of it. Verse 21, it says, "Can the eye say to the hand, I don't need you? Can the head say to the feet, I don't need you?" And the answer is, of course not. We all need each other because we are a part of this unit called the church. And so, of course, you should want to be a part of it. And so I'd encourage you to take a minute and pray that God would strengthen your local church, and pray that you and other Christians would be committed to the local church.